Hi, I'm Neha Ramachandran, and this is my digital assignment for software engineering, where I'm going to be applying Agile Scrum to the learning management system, which is also known as LMS. So, what is LMS? LMS is the digital backbone of academic delivery. So, it hosts course content, assignments, assessments, and communication between faculty and students inside one unified platform. So based on my registration number, I was given this topic of LMS. And the main objectives that we will see here is centralized content, streamline assignments and gradings, connect between faculty and student in real time, and give the university clear analytics on students' performance. And then we have the major functionalities, which can span a content repository or assignment submission and grading, quizzes and exams, discussion forums, live and recorded classes, and a progressive analytics dashboard. Next we have, which is justification for agile method. So why does Scrum fit the LMS module? So LMS is really a set of loosely coupled features, which is like submissions, grading, forums, analytics, that can each be built and tested and demoed on their own. So that's exactly the shape for Scrum that's built for. So first, it's incremental and modular. So every feature ships as its own working increment at the end of a sprint. Second, it gives frequent stakeholder feedback, which is faculty and students try each increment every 2 weeks. Then we have evolving requirements, which is academic needs shift every semester, right? So every semester we have new assessment types, new compliance rules, and Scrum's backing reprioritization absorbs that change. Then we have time box delivery, which is fixed length sprints give the university predictable milestones ahead of time of each semester's rollout. Next is requirement analysis. So let's start with stakeholders. So at the center, we have LMS project itself, and students are the primary end users. So they need content, submissions, and grades. And then we have faculty and instructors. So they create the content, grade work, and they run classes. Then we have the academic admin who manages courses, schedules, and compliances. And then we have the development team, which is our Scrum team. They design, build, and test the system. Then there's the IT and support system, which they do the hosting, security, uptime, and integrations. Then we have the university management, who sponsors the project and owns its success metrics. Next we have is functional requirements. What are the functional requirements? The functional requirements are uploading and organizing materials, online submissions, grading, a quiz, exams and quiz engines, discussion forums, attendance tracking, notifications, and deadline calendars. And non-functional requirements are fast response under 2 seconds, scaling to 50,000 plus concurrent users at exam time, strong security and data privacy, 99.9 uptime, accessibility, cross-device support, and reliable backups. Next we have is user stories. So the first user story is, as a student, I want all my course materials in one place. So I don't have to hunt across millions of emails and drives. User case 2. As a student, I want to submit assignments online with a receipt so that I have proof of on-time submissions. User case 3. As a faculty member, I want to grade with inline comments so I can give timely and specific feedback. Use case 4. As a faculty member, I want an auto-generated gradebook report so I can track performance without spreadsheets. And then user case 5. As an admin, I want to monitor usage and uptime so I can flag issues before they affect the exams. Then we have agile planning, which is a product backlog. So every feature we identified, prioritized and estimated in story points. So login and dashboard, high priority, I had 5 points. So course content repository, which is high priority, which is 8 points. Then we have course content repository, which is high priority, which is 8 points. Then we have assignment submission, which is high priority, 8 points. Then we have grading and gradebook, which is medium priority, which is 8 points. Then we have quiz and exam engine, which is medium priority, which is 13 points. The notification reminders, which is a medium priority, and that's another 5 points. And then we have discussion forum, which is a low priority, and analytics dashboard is low priority with the points as you can see. Then we have sprint planning. In sprint planning, for sprint 1, we pull the highest priority items into the sprint backlog, which is login, roles, and dashboards. Then course content repository, and then assignment submission. So which is the start of the assignment submission, which is a 21 story points in total for this particular sprint. And here are our sprint goals across the release. So sprint 1 delivers the core content repository and dashboard. Sprint 2 enables submission and grading. Sprint 3 launches the quiz engine and notifications. And Sprint 4 delivers forum, analytics, and final polish. Next we have is the agile process Scrum workflow. So this is our Scrum workflow. It starts with product backlog, the full prioritized feature list. Then in sprint planning, the team picks the sprint goal, and then that becomes the sprint backlog and the committed work items for the sprint. Then over a 2-week sprint, the team builds, tests, and integrates, producing a working increment of the LMS. At the end, we hold a sprint review, demoing the increment to stakeholders, followed by a sprint retrospective where the team reflects and improves, and any new insights loop back into the product backlog. Every single day during the sprint, the team holds a 15-minute daily stand-up to stay aligned. Our Scrum team has 4 roles. The product owner owns and prioritizes the backlog, representing faculty and student. And then the Scrum Master facilitates the ceremonies and removes blockers. The development team designs, builds, and tests every increment. And our stakeholders, which are the faculty and student representatives, they give feedback at every review. Now, zooming into sprint activities, day 1 is sprint planning, where we define the goal and pull in backlog items. Then every day, a 15-minute stand-up covers what was done, what's next, and what's blocking us. And at the end of the sprint review demos the working increment to faculty and student stakeholders. And finally, sprint retrospective, which is the team reflects on what worked and improves to the next sprint. Next we have is key risks. So the first key risk that we have is data security breach on student records. So that is a medium probability, high impact, which is mitigated with encryption, role-based access, and regular audits. Next we have is scope creep from stakeholder requests, which is a high probability, medium impact, and controlled with strict backlog grooming and product owner gatekeeping. Then next key risk that we have is server downtime during the exam period, which is a low probability but high impact. So we load, test, and use cloud auto-scaling ahead of exams, which is a way we can mitigate it. And then we have integration issues with university ERP, which is medium and medium impact, and it's addressed with an early integration spike in sprint 1. Then we have team member unavailability, which is a medium probability, but it's a low impact, and it is handled through cross training, pair programming, and documentation. And then we have low faculty adoption, which is a low probability, and it can be fixed by like early demos, training sessions, and with each sprint. And then finally, we will talk about probability with impact matrix. So what this is plotting these on a probability impact matrix. We can see server downtime sits uh, in the amber zone, which is like rare but serious if it happens. And then the data security risk sits in the red zone, which is it needs active mitigation right now. Then low faculty adoption is comfortably in the green zone. ERP integration sits in the amber. Then scope creed is red, which is high probability, so it needs constant attention, even though the impact is only medium. And then and the team availability is manageable, which is an amber zone risk. So next we have is testing. Testing is in a separate phase. It's built into every sprint, structured like a pyramid. So at the base we have unit tests, which runs continuously through CI on every feature. Then we have above that we have is integration tests, which is it checks how modules interact. For example, does grading correctly trigger a notification? And then at the top, we have this UAT, which happens live at every sprint review, where real faculty and students validate the increment. We also enforce continuous integration on every commit, make passing tests part of our definition of done, run regression tests before every release, and hold live UAT sessions every sprint. Finally, we have our expected outcomes. So what does this get us? Fast delivery, which is usable features shipped every sprint instead of one big release at the end, and better usability because continuous feedback catches friction early. Then we have it's adaptable to changing academic and compliance needs, and it produces higher quality because testing is built into every sprint rather than bolted at the end. By the end of Sprint 4, the university has a fully functional, tested, and stakeholder validated LMS module delivered incrementally and transparently through the Scrum. So, thank you for watching. That's my plan for applying Scrum to the LMS module, and thank you very much.